Good morning. Charlie O'Hara back in the studio on this Wednesday, here to answer your legal questions. 436-1212 is the number to dial if you have one. Good morning, Charlie.
Morning.
Glad to see you here again.
Good to be here.
And you rain on your way in?
A little bit.
Okay, a little bit. Here we go for the rest of the day. Okay, we have time now for some calls this morning. We have a few questions. We'll get to those right away. Good morning. What's your question for Charlie?
Yeah, I'm wondering who I speak to at the county courthouse to file for an expungement of my record.
I'm not exactly sure who you exactly speak to, but an expungement, again, I've said this a couple of times on the show, is something that you can file and take your record away and say that you never had that record. It disappears for like work and things like that. It doesn't disappear for everything. For some things, it still reappears. You try to get a professional license, want to be an accountant, want to be a doctor, want to be a lawyer, and things like that. It's still going to reappear, but you can get rid of it for employment purposes and other purposes. You can go to an attorney and have that done. For some serious crimes, it's probably best to go through an attorney, or you can do it yourself. I think you usually talk to the clerk's office, the district court clerk in Sedgwick County, or the city clerk on the city cases, and you can have, they'll give you forms and you can get them filled out. I've heard, and I haven't seen that some of those forms are now online. It costs you some money to do that, and sometimes you have to appear in court, but it can be done.
And how long does that process take, especially if you do have to appear in court?
It can take 3 or 4 months sometimes. Okay. Sometimes it's much quicker, but sometimes it can take a little while if there's some serious crimes or crimes people don't agree ought to be taken off your record.
Right, so depending on the severity of them.
And some crimes can never be taken off your record, some sex crimes and other crimes like that.
Okay, thank you. Good question, appreciate that. We have time now for another caller this morning. Hi there, what's your question for Charlie?
Yes, I have diabetes, and my question is, when I'm at work and my sugar drops down low where I need to eat something to bring it back up, my boss won't allow me to do that. And then I used to keep red needle dispensers in my toolbox. He told me, get rid of that because we're not advertising you have diabetes. Now he makes me take my needles and put them in my ashtray in my car and bring them home. I was wondering if that was legal.
Well, I don't know about legal. It's not a very humane way to treat anybody. And I don't know how big a company you work at, but I think maybe you ought to go over the supervisor or the person that's there doing that to you. I think with something like that, you're going to have to maintain your health, and I would think that it would be improper. I don't know, illegal is kind of a term that lawyers look at, but they shouldn't be doing that. If you've got diabetes, you got to be able to take care of that. I guess if it gets down to the worst part of it, you may have to go to a doctor and get a letter. But I think I would go over your boss, if it's a big enough company that you can, and explain that situation. That's not correct, and they shouldn't be treating you that way. And obviously, if things blow up and nobody can get along, then you can always go to a lawyer and file a lawsuit, and it'll become a great big deal. But first, I think I'd try to work it out with the company.
Okay, and in that situation, too, oftentimes we do hear about medical things that you need to take care of. You know, typically, have you seen that, you know, companies will work with doctor's notes, and if not, is it illegal? As you said, you have to look at the legalities of it.
Well, I think it kind of depends on the circumstance. I mean, you have to be fit enough so that you can do the job.
Right.
And so you could have something wrong with you so you couldn't do your job, or you were missing so much work, or it was a distraction to other people. So that can happen, but if all you have to do is eat occasionally for a short period of time, that should be able to be worked out, and I don't think that should be a problem. I mean, we want people to try to be employed, we want people to go to work, we want them to do their job, and we want them to be healthy while they do it. So I think everybody has that same common goal, and it doesn't seem correct that someone that basically sounds like harassment to me.
Okay, well, thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. Thanks so much to all of our viewers who called in. If you didn't get on the line today, Charlie will be back here next Wednesday. Have a good week.
All right, thanks a lot.